Hello, my name is Scott Giltner. I'm Associate Professor of History here at Culver-Stockton College, and I'd like to welcome you to the 1861 Symposium Museum. We're bringing a lot of people onto campus this week to commemorate not only the 150th anniversary of the American Civil War, but also specifically the occupation of the college by Union forces during 1861. So this is our opportunity to expose the local residents and our students and visitors from around the region to the history of the college, the community, and the war. So I'd like to give you a tour of the museum, if I could, very briefly. Over here to my left, we have the symposium timeline, which we put together to illustrate the major events of the Civil War, also some major events of the war, specifically in Missouri. You'll notice on the timeline that the events outlined in red are those events that specifically relate to Canton, Missouri. We couldn't cover everything, we just hit some of the highlights. Continuing on from the timeline, we have a display case that is containing sheet music donated by Mary Ellen Todd, including some very well-known songs of the day, Sherman's March to the Sea, which commemorates Sherman's March to the Sea, oddly enough, and George Root's The Battle Cry of Freedom, one of the best-known songs of the American Civil War. In addition to those, we have an envelope from the Civil War era. We have some quarterly reports of items given to and from soldiers, and then a carrier's address to the patrons of the Canton Weekly Press, which is essentially a hymn or a poem which talks about the war and Canton's role in it. Continuing on to what we're calling area Civil War rivals, we have displays of prominent Cantonians in the war. We have General Martin Greene and Colonel David Moore, rivals, men who lived 4 blocks apart, who wound up fighting each other at the Battle of Athens. Moore became colonel of the 21st Missouri, lost his arm at the Battle of Shiloh. Martin Greene became a Confederate general and was killed by a sharpshooter at the Battle of Vicksburg. Joseph C. Porter, Confederate guerrilla leader, hounded through northeast Missouri during his campaign by Union Colonel John McNeil, who was tasked specifically with catching Porter. Former Illinois Governor John Wood, who sent troops to occupy College Hill in 1861. And across the river, a natural political rival of John Wood, James S. Greene, one-time Missouri senator and a Canton resident who was one of the leading supporters of secession in the area. A little further on, we have a case containing soldiers' items. We have a mock-up of a Confederate officer's shell jacket. It's not real, it's a mock-up, but it's a good-looking mock-up. And then we have a whole series of actual soldiers' items. A soldier-style Bible, the kind that both armies would carry, a canteen. We have 3 examples of Confederate money, a 50, a 10, and a 5, a soldier's prayer book from 1861, and then down on the bottom there we have a Civil War era belt knife, which is actually a Union issue belt knife, a Civil War era bugle, and then a 19th century spyglass, the kind that an officer might use in the field. Continuing on, we have a series of textual descriptions of incidents in Canton in the war, and these have images of Canton residents who were veterans on both sides, and then also some quotations about some interesting events that happened in and around Canton during the war. Continuing further, we have a series of items in this display case. You'll notice one thing is missing. We haven't acquired our 1852 Colt revolver yet. We have a replica 6-pound cannonball. We have a Civil War era Zouave-style bayonet, which was a common kind of bayonet attached to the end of rifles. 2 handguns, a European-style percussion pistol, and then an 1850s model Providence police revolver. Up top here, we have the pension papers for the widow of Jacob Tryon, who was a private in the 3rd Iowa Cavalry, and then a belt buckle from the Ohio Volunteer Infantry. Actually, that's why it says OVI, Ohio Volunteer Infantry. Continuing on, we have a very interesting display. These are prints made from plates from Thomas Nast. Nast was the most famous cartoonist and illustrator from the 19th century. And these priceless plates were once stolen and smashed. Police recovered them. Actually, the father of Dr. Tom Paulette recovered them. And someone reassembled the smashed plates and made prints from the smashed plates. Hence, you can see all the divisions and blocks on the actual prints. A little further on over here, we have two examples of Civil War sabers. One is a model 1840 Prussian infantry sword in the back. In the front, we have a model 1840 Klingenthal cavalry saber. And they also have the scabbards. In the middle, we have a saber holder, the kind that soldiers would have had on their belt to carry their saber into battle or while riding their horse. Over here in the middle, we have our gun case, and we have two rifles that we required for the display. We have an 1862 contract rifle musket, not one of the major manufacturers. This one was manufactured by Lamson, Goodnow, and Yale from Windsor, Vermont, as well as the bayonet that goes with it. And then we also have a French model 1863 rifle, possibly an 80 caliber, and we believe that that was used by someone from Company F of the 1st Iowa Cavalry. In addition, we have our Missouri oath, and these are the sort of oaths that people had to swear to when they joined the Army. And we have several examples of those from the college archives. In the middle, we have a series of displays about the occupation of the college. The college is occupied by the Army for about 6 months, give and take, during 1861. We have pictures of the prominent individuals involved in that occupation. We also have, it's a showpiece, it's a cannon, but it's a replica cannon. It's not original from the Civil War, but it looks really good. And then finally, here in the middle, we have this display case over here that contains some letters and some poetry by a soldier named Jacob Tryon, who was a private in Company C of the 3rd Regiment of the Iowa Volunteer Cavalry. And he wrote some fantastic poems, and we have some transcriptions of those poems, and it's really interesting to see someone's creativity during this war and how it played out in their poetry. So this is essentially the 1861 museum, and we hope people will come and check it out and learn as much as they can about the history of our region and our school, and especially life during this turbulent time. So thank you very much.